Okay, so juvenile offender pleas. Generally, a juvenile offender must plead guilty to a crime that he is criminally responsible for. Okay, generally that's the rule. Then what this chart is talking about is exceptions to that. So the first one is for a 14 to 15-year-old charged with murder in the second degree. The allowable plea is a crime he's criminally responsible for, period. There's no exceptions to this one. So again, 14 to 15-year-olds charged with murder in the second degree, any crime he's criminally responsible for. So if one of the 14 to 15-year-olds shoots the chief administrator and kills him, then he's got to plead guilty to a crime he's criminally responsible for, if he wants to plead. Now we go to 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. This is where the exceptions start. So the 13, 14, 15-year-old is charged with anything but the mark charge. So anything but murder, armed felony, rape first, criminal sexual act first. The plea can be to something he's not criminally responsible for. Okay, so it can be to a lesser included offense that he's not criminally responsible for. So an example of this is 13, 14, 15-year-olds charged with arson in the first. So they set a fire. Okay, they set something on fire and they are able to plead guilty to a lesser included offense like arson in the fourth or something. And that would have to be based on the DA's recommendation in a subscribed memorandum that the interest of justice would be served by the removal to family court. Okay, so that's 13, 14, 15-year-olds, arson. They're allowed to plea just based on the DA's recommendation, subscribed memorandum that interest of justice would be served. Now we're going to go down to the ones with lots of requirements for them, and I'll explain those. So 13-year-old charged with murder in the second degree. The 13-year-old shoots the chief administrator and kills him. That child can only plead to designated felony act. And this is how he gets to family court. It's got to be the DA's recommendation in a subscribed memorandum that the interest of justice would be served by removal to family court. And it has to be based on one of these four things. So they added something that's not in 722. So it has to be based on either 1, mitigating circumstances, 2, not sole participant and the role was relatively minor, 3, deficiencies in the proof, or where the 13-year-old has no prior designated felony act findings, that the act is not part of a pattern of criminal behavior and is not likely to be repeated. Okay? So then the next one is 14 and 15-year-old charged with ARC, Armed Felony Rape Crim Sex Act, because we had to drop the M, because remember, murder in the second degree for 14 and 15-year-olds, no exceptions. So again, 14 and 15-year-old charged with ARC, Armed Felony Rape Crim Sex Act, can be a plea to any lesser included offense that he's not criminally responsible for, and then the case can go to family court. But you need everything that was in this paragraph too. So you need the DA's recommendation and subscribed memorandum that the interest of justice would be served by sending the kid to family court. And it has to be based on mitigating, not sole participant, role minor, or deficiencies in the proof, or where the juvenile offender has no prior designated felony act findings, that it's not a pattern of criminal behavior and not likely to be repeated. So that's what you need for the 14, 15-year-old charged with the ARC or the 13-year-old charged with murder in the second degree. So this is where the chief administrator doesn't get shot.